I want to first start out with saying that I'm not really a fan of Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. During the time when it actually came out, I was very disappointed that people actually made it go viral on YouTube and TikTok and basically every single platform ever. Because I played it for $5, 20 minutes of gameplay that's mostly tedious work, and then going off and doing this one vent chase scene that kind of lasts a minute, maybe even less than that, is not really worth the $5. But to keep going on to this, I played Chapter 2 because I was interested to see if it would actually increase in quality, and I think it did. Even though that game is really mixed, I still think it's leagues above Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. I think it does everything so much better with it, and that's why I was actually kind of excited for Chapter 3. I mean, it took them long enough to make it. It's been a year and a half since Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, maybe even longer than that. And I'm glad to say that Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 is actually really good. I mean, yeah, sure, it's pretty buggy. I mean, my game crashed 3 times, 3 separate times in different areas of the game because I had pressed the exit menu. But, the story and I think the gameplay is a very nice way of making a walking simulator become something so much better. I also have to give props to how this game is actually scary. The last 2 are not scary whatsoever. I don't think that there is any person on the planet that isn't under the age of 7 that would actually find Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 scary. And for people that played Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, that's also probably one that isn't scary for most people. I mean, they're all cuddly and stuff like that. The main antagonist of Chapter 1 is called Huggy Wuggy. How are you afraid of this? But I mean, people have their preferences to something scary or not, so I'm not going to make fun of anybody who thinks that's scary. No offense whatsoever. But we get to Chapter 3, and I gotta say, it's, scary. I gotta say, I was kind of scared throughout the entire thing. And you might be thinking, for a movie-specific channel, Enchanted, why are you making another video about a video game? And well, I have a perfect reason to, and that's because this game does something that most horror games don't do. And I want to applaud Chapter 3 for actually doing it. But this video is specifically for a specific part of Chapter 3 that I honestly think is disturbing. This scene gave me goosebumps when watching it, and the music and the tone of it all, and the backstory is absolutely terrifying. And that's what I wanted to talk about. The part I'm talking about is, spoiler alert, at the very end of Chapter 3, when the VHS tape, The Hour of Joy, comes on. Now, I was already playing in a really dark room just because, it elements the scary factor of it. But this just kind of gave me chills down my entire back and just throughout my entire body. If you've played the game or watched someone play it, or maybe you don't even know what this is and you're just tuning in just cuz, well, basically, The Hour of Joy is a VHS tape showcasing exactly what happened to every single last person in the factory on the final day it was opened. And it's really disturbing. So let's talk about that really quickly before I get on to how most horror games don't do something like that and why Poppy Playtime deserves the recognition for actually attempting at this and succeeding. Basically, it's explained that on this 1 hour, all of the toys in the entire warehouse and factory suddenly became alive and started to kill absolutely everyone. And it's said that they killed everybody that was in the building. No one survived. Maybe a couple people who were at the main entrance got out, but it is said that no one survived. Everyone died by Poppy. And I mean, on its own, it's not too disturbing. Yeah, everybody died. It's basically a homicide by these toys. But, the visuals of this elevate it because it's in the sense of a VHS camera. You're looking at it in black and white, and it's kind of blurry, and it cuts from shot to shot, but you know exactly what's happening. You can hear the screams, and Poppy even describes what it was like being a part of that massacre. And I mean, yeah, sure, a lot of stuff does this. They kind of show this big massacre happening, and it's not usually the most disturbing thing. It's definitely disturbing hearing the screams and stuff like that. But what makes this specifically jump out to me specifically, or maybe even to a lot more other people, is the fact of the music and how it elevates the scariness of the scene. And the music progresses throughout the entire massacre, which it just keeps growing and growing until at the very end with the haunting scene of just all these dead bodies, these thousands of dead bodies of children, of parents, of old people, of employees, scattered across the floor, knowing that no one survived, is horrifying. And what's said next is the way that these toys survived down here for all this time is because they have a stash of every single last body of everybody, and they've been eating these to stay alive. These tested on kids were cannibalizing their own kind to get back at the humans or to just continue to survive. Who knows? We don't know yet, not until chapter 4, but until then, all that we know is that all these innocent people, every single last person, whether innocent or guilty of anything, was killed. And it shows a lot of these massacres happening. People getting devoured, being ripped apart, and being just completely overrun by these toys. It's a horrifying scene that takes place. And when I say that this isn't usually done in horror games, I mean that, because usually you just have to imagine the scene like this. They don't actually give you a visual representation. You have to imagine, like in Five Nights at Freddy's, you have to imagine that these kids were murdered in the back room. They don't actually show that in the games. I mean, FNAF 3 kind of shows it, but at the same way, it's not a direct representation. Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 shows it how it would be in the games, where in FNAF 3, it's a 8-bit minigame. Why this needs recognition is because it's actually scary. It shows it in real time, and it shows the massacre that's happening. And this is something that's left up to the audience to kind of visualize in their head, but this works by the fact that it's actually very, very violent. It's gruesome, and most importantly, it's disturbing. When horror games try and use this strategy of actually showing a massacre that's happening, it usually fails because it fails to meet the expectations of disturbingness that a lot of people hope for. But Poppy Playtime 3 makes it not only disturbing, but makes it seem realistic, which is more disturbing than any other thing I've seen in a horror game in a long time. Tell me what you think about this scene in the comments down below if you've played the game or seen somebody play it. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted.